The rumour this morning, I've seen it in a few papers, is that Jason Wilcox is now willing to back Michael Carrick in the transfer window for, drum roll please, you won't believe this. No, it's not a goalkeeper. A winger. A winger. We're going to go and try and buy a left winger in January, in the middle of January, desperately seeking, not Susan, but a winger. I just, every day I think, what today are they going to do that's going to make me absolutely get even more embarrassed by this Pratt club? Because it really is Jim Pratcliffe, isn't it? I am actually going to christen him as Sir Jim Pratcliffe. That is official today, 15th of January, 2026, Sir Jim Pratcliffe. That's done because he is in charge of the football side of things. And as much as I think Wilcox is an idiot and Barada's no better and the club's in a right mess, I can't believe that they might even consider this. So let me get my head around this. Man United tell Ruben Amorim, we are not backing you in the January transfer market, even though we're 1 year into a 3-year project. We're not going to back you anymore, and we want you to go to a back four. Amorim says, you're idiots. That's not very nice. You're fired. We interview Ollie. We interview Carrick. We give it to Carrick, and then we go, Michael, guess what? Not only are you interim until the end of the season, we're also going to buy you a winger as well. And Carrick goes, why, man? I don't know whether he speaks like that. He is from the north. Carrick goes, but I want a midfielder. No. We're going to buy you a winger. We're going to buy you a winger, right? Do you know who it is? No, not figured that out. Just, we've got 2 weeks. We've got some money. We'll just chuck it around somewhere and see where it lands. Yeah, that's the plan. Don't think we need a midfielder? No, you don't talk. Michael, don't talk like the last one. I'll tell you what, you're on your final warning this morning, Michael. Now go and wash my car, because if I hear another word about midfield and transfers, you're gone. Now, Ollie's still there. Ollie's still there. And don't you think I'm not stupid enough to make myself look an idiot and sack an interim and get another one in. If I ever hear anything about a midfielder again, Michael, you're on your last chance. You're on your last chance. You can tell everybody else that, right? So, could this be true? Anything can be true with Manchester United. Anything ridiculous can be true with Manchester United at the moment. I suppose my fear around this would be the logic is we tried to sign Semenyo, who is a winger, and he said no. And whoever was behind that is now going, well, we still need a winger, which I suppose is logical. I do get the fact that you went for Semenyo, you didn't get him. You went for Kenda, you didn't get him. They're both wide players, and you went for Kenda after Dorgu, by the way. Some people think Kenda was before Dorgu was after. So you can understand the logic, in a sense, of going for a winger. However, they haven't got a bloody clue who to go for. Like, there's 2 weeks left of the window, and you haven't got a clue who to go for. And also, the big one for me is, the manager is not the manager. The manager is an interim called Michael Carrick, who hasn't even managed a game yet. Why would you sack Ruben Amorim for asking for players when he's the manager, and then bring an interim in and back him? That, to me, is just wild. Absolutely wild. However, what it probably does display, if it happens, and look, that's a big if, but if they did sign any player in January, does that not reveal the big master plan anyway? Interim's just a bitch. It's a puppet. It's go and do that. The real power is Wilcox, isn't it? So has Wilcox now got his way? Remove Amorim, remove power, bring in a puppet, and then I'll make the signings I want to make. And that's the scary thing. Are we now Are we now more in the hands of Wilcox? Maybe that was the plan all along. I'll remove Amorim. I can dictate the formation. I can bring in the players I want, and the nightmare continues. And maybe that's what it is. Because I'll tell you for free. Well, we are free. It's YouTube. But I'll tell you for free. There is no power but Jason Wilcox now. Like Michael Carrick. I saw what Roy Keane said about the interims, and he was like, look, I like Johnny Evans, but he's never coached. Johnny Evans has never coached. And he's right. And he says, and now we're in the hands of the guru Steve Holland. Exactly. Who the fuck's he? What's he got to do with Man United? There's a lot of inexperience There's nobody in the coaching setup that's got the power or authority or longevity to say to Jason Wilcox, what do you think you're doing? Basically, he's got a bunch of puppets. You know, he's Kermit the Frog, Gonzo, Fozzie Bear. He's got them all. And he can play whatever tune he wants. You know, he probably plays the tune, it's the Muppet Show. Dun, 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 dun. And he's dancing out. Dun, dun, come on, follow me. Dun, dun, dun. It's time to get things started on the Muppet Show tonight. We'll start with Jason Wilcox, and we've got Steve Holland. I'm riffing, but you know what I mean. It's the Muppet Show, and the head Muppet is going to be, I don't know whether there was a head Muppet actually, but the guy who's pulling the strings, Jim Henson, is Jim Pratcliffe. No, it's Jason Wilcox. So, look, they've said they're not buying anybody in January. That's what they've always said. I suspect we will get linked to players in the next 2 weeks because Man United have got social media targets to hit. And Man United saying they're not buying anybody kills their social media. So they need, they need to give Romano and Ornstein something. So I'm pretty sure we will get linked to players. There's 2 weeks of the window left. United won't like not doing anything for 2 weeks simply because they need to get the, shirt sales and PR and everything. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get linked to players. Whether we actually buy anybody or not, I don't know. Look, if we buy a midfielder, we need a midfielder. If we go and buy a winger and we don't buy a midfielder, I just think it's complete and utter pratism. And I don't even think that's a word. But pratism, in my mind, is just completely and utterly illogical stupidity that makes absolutely no sense when you're being run by idiots. Maybe it does. But we should not be buying a winger now because we missed out on Semenyo. I mean, it's like, I would say the left winger market is like the manager market. There will be better managers available in the summer and there will be better wingers available in the summer. Whereas the midfield market, I think there's loads. Left wing's a little bit more specialist. It's a little bit more niche. There's not a lot around at the moment, but midfield, there's bloody loads of them. So, look, we'll have to wait and see what happens with this. But, I mean, the ridiculous thing is as well, and I've not heard anybody say this, we bid £60 million for Semenyo. He's a very good player. He's playing for Man City against us on Saturday. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go with that money with 2 weeks left in January? And why would you spend it? If I'm Thomas Tuchel or Glasner or De Zerbi and I take that job in the summer and I go, you've just spent £50 million on a winger in January on an interim. What the fuck are you doing? Why did you do that? I understand you're going for a midfielder because your midfield's crap and you've actually helped me out there, but why have you gone and got the left winger 4 months before I start? Why have you spent that money before before you even go? What's that all about, And I think that's really stupid. Ladios says Gary Neville wants Pochettino at United. Well, we'll talk about that in a moment. So, yeah, look, I think that the only reason they go and buy the left winger now is because Wilcox is running the show, which is what he's always wanted to do, which is what the interview says. I'm a manager at heart. I can't help sticking my nose in. Well, you can help sticking your nose in. I can cure that one. Anyone got any ways to stop Jason Wilcox sticking his nose in Manchester United management? I've got quite a few, but answers on a postcard for that one. Look, if I'm being blunt, I don't want us to buy a left winger in January. I really don't. I think it's too important a position. We don't know who the next manager is. Glasner plays 3 at the back. We don't know whether Carrick's going to keep the job. We shouldn't be buying the left winger in January.